computer in the manor. So the idea that these Springlock suits were the ones that were Fiona's designs, especially since we had the other audio log that, like, why can't we just have the teens wear a suit like we always do? Henry is rejecting the Springlock suits. This is again pointed out in this post. Like, Henry is rejecting these Springlock suits, and the Fazbear designs, the new ones, the ones we know, those aren't Springlocks. That's the big change. It's like, we're not doing Springlock suits anymore. Also do these designs instead. So I actually really like this idea that Fiona's designs were these prototype Springlock suits that were never used, because again, these are the prototype ones. This is not the Fredbear and Spring Bonnie that we go on to see the Bite of 83 in Fredbear's Family Diner. Not the same suit. However, I do really like the idea, and I think this is a pretty solid explanation that these suits were the original ones Fiona designed. It was always going to be 4 people at the pizzeria, and then they, at the last minute, rejected it and said, no, you're doing these animatronics instead that will not be Springlock suits. And that's where you get Foxy, and that's where you get Chica. And I like that a lot. So going back to your question in particular, were all of them meant to be the original Freddy's concept? I think possibly. I think what this is showing us is that the original group of characters that they were kind of putting together were these 6. This bear, rabbit, chicken, fox, alligator, dog. These 2 extra characters, right? And then instead of that, the alternative Fazbear designs is just these 4 animatronics. Now, the interesting thing is that if that's true, you would think the original Fiona designs would be 6 Springlock suits instead of 4, which is seemingly replacing Bub and Monty with Bonnie and with Foxy and Chica. But then we look throughout the game, and it seems like Chica and Foxy existed before Fazbear. Yeah. Right? It seems like Fredbear and Bonnie were always the first main 2 characters, and Chica and Foxy were more so acquired. Obviously, we know for, like, fact that Chica was from Chica's Party World and had her own restaurant, her own roller rink, and eventually that company had an economic strait, and Fazbear seemed to have gobbled them up. And then we look at Foxy, and in this game, we get, like, the Puppet Foxy show, where he's got his own crew with Roxy, with Captain Springlock, and all these characters. It almost seems like Foxy was an Edwin Murray original.
Yeah.
Especially since the Roxy hand puppet was made by Fiona for David's first birthday. So again, like, it seems like this Foxy character was actually an Edwin Murray original. And if that's true, then it seems like the Fazbear original gang may have been Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, Bub the dog, and Monty the alligator. And then when they went to create Freddy Fazbear's, they swapped out those 2 with their newly acquired, brand new shiny characters, Chica and Foxy. Which is interesting, to say the least, if that's what the explanation were. Because we always knew Chica seemed to be from a different company first. But Foxy,
What do you think of these theories so far? What do you think, man? It's pretty interesting shit, honestly. Ow. It's pretty interesting shit. You know?
Never really knew. Like, Foxy, as far as we know, was always a Fazbear original. But at the same time, Foxy was always separated from the main 3. It was always Bonnie, Freddy, Chica, and also Foxy.
Hold on, I need to go get a honey bun because I'm hungry. Type out your comment so I can look at it. What do you think, man? Yeah, it is, really. You want to hear something?